Hey, it's Chandra with Piano at a Glance, and in this lesson, we're going to be talking about rhythm and how to count it. So, first off, what is rhythm? It's actually the placement of sounds in time or a pattern of sound or silence. So, basically, you're taking various different note values and resting values and putting them together to create a rhythm. But in order to have a rhythm, we also have to have a beat and a tempo to go along with it. So, what is a beat? It's simply a basic unit of time that is repeated in a regular pattern that creates a pulse, sort of like a clock. And also, we need a tempo, and tempo is nothing but the speed at which a piece of music is being played. So without these two elements, there'd be no way in the world we could go to our favorite concert and be able to jump up and down in sync and headbang. So let's jump right into the lesson and talk about this in more detail. Okay, so what we're looking at right here is what's called a grand staff. And I'm just going to show you around a bit. First, by starting off with the fact that a grand staff has 5 lines and 4 spaces. Okay, and so for each line and space, a note could fall anywhere in those areas. Okay, and next we have what's called a treble clef. And it's referring to what our right hand plays. And down below is what's called a bass clef. And it represents the left hand. Okay? And so now if you take a look here at this line and this line, those are called bar lines. And bar lines basically separate the music into measures. Okay? So, this right here is what's called a time signature. Okay? And a time signature, for right now, we're going to keep them basic, but there's various different ones. But to keep it simple for this lesson, we'll only use a few. So we'll be talking about the 4/4 time, 3/4 time, and 2/4 time. Okay? So with 4/4 time, let's talk about the top number first. So the top number, it represents how many beats are in each measure. Okay? So the 4 is saying we can only put 4 beats in every single measure. Okay? And the same goes for a 3/4 time, except the amount of beats changes. So that top number is now a 3. So we can only fit 3 beats per measure. And 2/4, obviously, it's telling us we can only put 2 beats per measure. Okay? All right, so let's talk about that bottom number for a second. The bottom number tells us what type of note gets the beat. So we talked earlier in the video about various different notes and rests that are put together to form a rhythm. And so this is where that comes in. So it's telling us with the 4 that the quarter note gets the beat. Okay? And I'm just going to go in here and draw one in for you so you can see what it looks like. Okay, and you can see here that the note head is solid, it's colored in black, and it has a note stem. Okay, and the 4/4 time signature, that 4 is telling us that that quarter note is equal to 1 beat. Okay, so this quarter note equals 1 beat, and that's what gets the beat. The 4 represents a quarter note. So it's like if I were to draw a pie right here and split it into 4s and shade a quarter of that. 4 quarters equal $1, 4 quarters equal a whole. So that's where the 4 comes in to represent a quarter note, basically. Okay, so if we come down here, I have just a few examples of this. Here we have a 4/4 time signature, and again, every single note, every quarter note is going to get the beat. So we have 1, 2, 3, and beat 4 right there, okay? Now, if we slide over just a little bit, now you can see that there are what are called quarter rests. And they also equal 1 beat. But it's a beat of silence. So in this measure, we're not playing anything. Our right hand is going to be resting. Okay, and it'd be the same if these were written down in the left hand, in the bass clef. You would still be, that would tell you that your left hand would be resting per count or per rest that you see there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this so you can hear it. One, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So each one of these rests got 4 counts. All right? So moving along, the next type of note, actually before we do that, I wanted to go and do an example of a 3/4 time. Almost forgot about the good old 3/4. So in this measure, 1, 2, 3, okay, because we have a 3 up top here. So each note is going to get a beat, each quarter note, but now we can only have 3 beats per measure. Okay? So if I go to play this one, one, 2, 3. Okay? And now we have a 2/4 example. Okay, so with the 2/4 time, same thing. We still have, the number has changed on top, but the quarter note still gets the beat. Okay, so in this instance, we have 1, 2. There's only 2 beats allowed per measure. 1, 2. Okay, so I'll go and play this one. One, 2. Okay? All right, now we can go down to the next type of note, and here we have what's called a half note. Okay, and the half note gets 2 beats. And we see here that the note head is not colored in, and it has a stem. And so the way we would count this, each note you would press and hold for 2 counts. And the second note, still 2 counts, but this would be beats 3 and 4, okay? And over here we have what are called half rests. And they also equal 2 beats. So it'd be 1, 2, and then be 3 and 4 for the last one, okay? So with this example, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So let's go and look at an example in 3/4 time. Okay? Now this one, remember, our top note again, it's telling us that there's only 3 counts allowed per measure. So there's different things you could do with this, obviously, but one being that you have a half note, which gets beats 1 and 2, and then beat 3 is the quarter note. And it'd be the same thing for the half rest. It would get 2 beats of silence, and the quarter rest would get 1 beat. So to demonstrate, 1, 2, 3. Okay? All right. So the next note we have here is a whole note. So the whole note is equal to 4 beats. Okay? So you would simply just press and hold this note for 4 counts. Okay? And over here we have what's called a whole rest. Okay? And the whole rest is 4 beats of silence. Okay? So let's try not to get the half rest and the whole rest mixed up, okay? Because the half rest, I tell my students, it looks like a hat. Okay? That's the way they remember it. And then down here, it's actually below that line. So try not to get those confused. So this one also gets 4 counts of silence. All right. So in this example, one, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? All right, so now this is a note that you're not going to see in 3/4 time, okay? But what you will see in 3/4 time is it's another note, and this note, let me draw it for you, is what's called a dotted half note. Okay, and the dotted half note gets 3 beats. So why does this note get 3 beats? So we first want to establish the fact that this note without the dot is a half note. So it gets 2 beats, okay? And what the dot does is it adds half of the note's value to itself. So this half note is 2 beats, and half of 2 equals 1. So we add 1 to that, and that's what gives us 3 beats. Okay? So, if I were to demonstrate this, pretty simple. 1, 2, 3. So we're basically just going to press and hold this note for 3 counts. All right. Okay, and so now for the last set of notes we're going to learn, or note type we're going to learn, is what's called the eighth note. And the eighth note is equal to a half of a beat. Okay? So how in the world do we know we're playing a half a beat? Well, we have to go back to that quarter note in order to help us understand where the half beat comes from. So first of all, I want you to think about the fact that maybe you're listening to your favorite song and you start tapping your foot. So with a foot tap, your foot has to come down first and then go back up to complete one full beat. So, for instance, if I do this, I draw a down arrow that represents my foot. So your foot comes down and back up to complete beat 1 before it has to come down and back up again to complete beat 2. Okay? So the down and up counts as a full beat. And this is called subdividing. So we're basically subdividing a quarter note because the eighth note it takes 2 eighth notes to create a full quarter note. Okay? So here we have, the way you would say this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? And so what we're going to do is just transfer this up here. And when we tap our foot goes down for the first eighth note. Our foot goes up for the next one. Down, up, down, up. Okay? So if we were to count this, it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? All right, so also I wanted to point out too that you will also see eighth notes written like this. Oops. Okay, with a flag coming off the stem. Okay, still's the same thing. Okay, it still equals a half a beat. So back to this example here. We have, I'll just go ahead and play the quarter note first and then the eighth note so you can hear the difference between the two with the subdivision. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Do that one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Well, that's it for this lesson. Thanks so much for stopping by. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll see you in the next video.